Hello, everyone. In our last discussion on the story of Palampur, we learned a very important fact about farming. Land is fixed. We can't just make more of it. But at the same time, our population and our need for food keeps growing. So that presents a big puzzle, doesn't it? Today, we're going to see how farmers have tried to solve this exact problem. So this is the main question for today. If a farmer has a certain piece of land, and that land doesn't get any bigger, how is it possible for them to grow more and more food on it? It seems like a difficult problem, but the answer is found in changing the way we farm, using what we call modern farming methods. Now, it's really important to understand this point. In Palampur, since about the 1960s, no new land has been added for farming. All the land that could be used is already being used. This means there's only one way to grow more food. You have to get more output from the same area of land. The focus shifts from getting more land to getting more from the land.
To really understand the solution, let's first look at the two main approaches to farming. First, there's the old way, the way things were done for centuries, which we call traditional farming. And then there's the new way, modern farming. Let's compare the two.
Okay, let's break this down. On one hand, we have traditional farming. Here, farmers use seeds that they had saved from their previous crops. These seeds didn't need a lot of water, but they also didn't produce a very high yield. For fertilizer, they use natural things like cow dung. But modern farming, well, that's a whole different system. It's designed for high yields, using special seeds, chemical inputs, and a lot of water.
Now, where did all these modern methods come from? They were introduced in India back in the late 1960s as part of a huge movement called the Green Revolution. The main goal of the Green Revolution was simple: to grow much more food, especially wheat and rice, so that our country could feed its growing population. So, at the very heart of this green revolution was a new type of seed. It was called the high-yielding variety seed, or HYV for short. And the name tells you exactly what it does. These seeds were scientifically developed to produce far more grain from a single plant compared to the old traditional seeds. This was a major breakthrough. But here's something you absolutely have to remember. These HYV seeds are not magic. They only work their best when they are given a whole support system. Think of it as a package deal. To get those high yields, the seeds need the right combination of plenty of water, chemical fertilizers, and pesticides. You need the whole package for it to work. So let's look at the recipe for higher yields. Step 1, you start with the HVY seeds. Step 2, because these plants grow so much, they need a lot of water, so you need good irrigation. Step 3, they are also very hungry for nutrients, so farmers add chemical fertilizers to feed them. Step 4, to protect this valuable crop from pests, pesticides are used. And finally, to do all this work efficiently, farmers use machinery, like tractors and threshers.
All right, let's talk numbers. Let's see what this meant for a farmer in Palampur. Before all this, using traditional methods, the average wheat yield was about 1,300 kilograms per hectare. Please keep that number in your mind.
And now, look at this. After the farmers in Palampur started using HYV seeds with the full package of inputs, the wheat yield jumped all the way up to 3,200 kilograms per hectare. The difference is just huge. This chart really helps you see the impact. The production more than doubled. And remember, this was all from the exact same piece of land. This was the amazing success of the Green Revolution in action. It had solved the puzzle of how to grow more from a fixed resource. But, things are rarely that simple. This incredible increase in food production, it came with a price. This new way of farming was very effective, but it was also quite expensive. Let's explore some of the challenges it created for the farmers. This brings us to an important economic idea called working capital. It's basically the money a farmer needs right at the start of the season to buy all the inputs, the seeds, the fertilizers, everything. With traditional farming, farmers often use their own seeds and natural manure. But with modern farming, everything had to be bought. This meant farmers needed a lot more cash before they could even start farming. To understand what this meant for a small farmer, let's look at the story of eVidya from the village. To get enough money for the HYV seeds and fertilizers, she had to take a loan from a large farmer. And look at the conditions. A very high interest rate, plus she had to promise to work on his fields. This shows just how difficult it was for small farmers to arrange for the money needed. So, we've talked about the financial cost for farmers, but what about the cost to the land itself, to our environment? Using these intensive methods, year after year, started raising a very serious question. Could the land sustain this pressure in the long run? Let's look at this in terms of cause and effect. The first cause is the continuous use of chemical fertilizers. These chemicals work fast because they dissolve in water and give the plants nutrients immediately. But here is the long-term effect. Over time, these same chemicals started to harm the soil. They killed the tiny, helpful bacteria and microorganisms that keep the soil naturally healthy and fertile. This meant the soil was losing its natural goodness, and farmers would have to use even more chemicals just to get the same result. Okay, now for the second major cause. Remember how thirsty these H5E seeds are? To give them enough water, farmers began to pump huge amounts of water from deep underground using tube wells. And the effect of this was that the water level underground, what we call the water table, started to drop. The water was being used up much faster than the rain could replace it. And this is a very serious problem because once our natural resources, like healthy soil and groundwater, are damaged, it is incredibly difficult, sometimes even impossible, to bring them back. So what is our final conclusion on modern farming methods? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Well, the real answer is that it's complicated. It has brought us huge benefits, but it also comes with serious risks. Let's try to summarize the whole picture. If we look at this summary, it's very clear. On the benefit side, we have a massive increase in production, which helped our country become self-sufficient in food. Farmers could also grow a surplus to sell in the market. But on the risk side, we have damage to our soil and water, the high costs for farmers, and the danger of small farmers getting trapped in debt. It's a powerful tool, but one that must be used very carefully. And this leads us to our final question for today. We now know how more food can be produced from the same land. But think about it. Since modern farming requires so much money, and since land is not distributed equally in the village, who do you think really gets the biggest benefit from all this progress? That's a very important question, and it's exactly what we will be exploring in our next session.